Hey there, Stashers. Welcome to the CraftStash podcast. I'm hanging out with my spazzy little dog. Holy, where are you? And we're in City Park in Denver, Colorado. Let's go inside, shall we? Hey, so welcome inside. It is Sunday, the first day of spring. Yay! And welcome back inside. I think I said that already. Did I tell you who I am? My name's Kim. That's a great way to start the podcast, right? It's been a little while, so let's just jump right into it. Today I've got a little bit of what I'm crafting, a little bit of what I'm stashing, and some medium mix. And depending on how I'm feeling, some periphery. So let's talk about what I'm crafting. But first, a quick interlude. I'm so sorry it's been a couple weeks since I podcasted. I was trying to do every other week, and then life happened. My wonderful grandmother passed away on February 21st, and it was a whirlwind of her having a stroke on Valentine's Day, and then passing away a week later. I was in the mountains when I got the news. I was with Greg and a really great friend of ours, so it was a hard weekend, but it was really great to be able to say goodbye to her in person a week later in this company of my mom and two younger sisters and all of our cousins and aunts and uncles. And then after that, I had my mother-in-law in town, which was awesome to see her. And then after that, I was in Rhode Island for the Lady Project Summit, which I might talk to you about a little bit later. So suffice it to say, I had a lot of good reasons for not podcasting. But I'm back, and spring is springing, and so is my hair. So I couldn't stay away for very long. Okay, so with that little interlude, now we can talk about what I'm crafting. So I actually haven't been super crafty. My mojo's been all over the place, as you could probably imagine. But I did finish a pair of socks, but I can't really call them a finished object because I kind of put them back on the needles. I had purchased this sock yarn several years ago from a company called Yarntini. She was doing this really cool club where she let you pick your own yarn colors that you would dye in self-striping yarn. So I called this colorway, let me see if I can do this, CMY, oh let me do it from here. C for cyan, M for magenta, Y for yellow, K is what it's supposed to be for graphic designers. It's a four color process thing. But then I called it CMY gray because we've got the black, gray, and white. So this was a custom colorway that I had made up maybe 4 years ago and had never put on the needles. And with the mojo being off and me knowing that I had a lot of traveling coming up, socks were a perfect project for travel knitting. And I finished them and I like them. They're pretty straightforward. I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel for the first time, which was really, really easy. It's a way to do a wrapless, gapless short row heel that is easier to memorize, and it totally is easier to memorize. Thank you so much to Sally from Idaho for sharing the pattern with me, or buying the pattern for me, I should say. She didn't share it with me because that sounds illegal. Please pay the pattern designers the money that they ask for. And it was a really great heel to make because I never make heels. If you guys have seen my socks in the past, I like to do what I call assless chap socks, that are socks with no heels, because that's the part that wears out the most. And I always wear my socks with a thin pair of ankle socks to help with the abrasion, and the ankle socks serve as my heel. But I figured, hey, I have this Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern, I will try it out. And it was really, really wonderful, pretty easy to do. I don't know if my camera's gonna let me zoom in that well, but you know, my corners right here are wrapless and gapless, which is awesome. But I put them back on the needles because sock knitters, you know this problem. Like, I even put the ball of yarn away. I have so much of this left. I could probably make another half pair of socks, but I don't want 2 pairs of socks in this colorway. So I figured maybe these would become some really tall, fun socks, but I'm not sure yet. I might just call it a day. So they're kind of done. I'm not really sure. KFO, kind of finished object. So yay, I finished something. And then I unfinished it. The other thing that I am crafting, it's the first day of spring, but I have a lot of Baileys left, and I'm trying to work my way through my Baileys because I love Baileys. The other thing I'm going to get ready to start is a sweater, because what's the best thing to start as the weather gets warmer? Some hot stuff to keep in your lap as you're knitting it. So this is my sample swatch for My camera is telling me that this little corner right here is a good place for focus. So hopefully that means my face is in focus. Let's click my face. Great. So this is my sample swatch for what is going to become a messaline sweater. It's a really lovely pattern by Bristol Ivy. I got to work with her a couple of months ago on a class that she did for Craftsy, which was awesome. She's really, really sweet, and Craftsy sells a kit for her sweater. I'm gonna stop talking about it right now because I realize how salesy I'm sounding. Anyway, that's where I found out about the pattern. And this, sorry to sound salesy a little bit more, is an exclusive line of yarn called Cloudborn, and it's very, very woolly for me, which I'm not usually too into, but I really love the colors. And this, you may or may not be able to tell, is a teal held with a gray together, so it gives it like a nice marled effect. And then this is just two teals held together. I'm basically going to Frankenstein the sweater because I think this gauge is something like 6.8 stitches per inch. And I made this, I'm holding it, 2 yarns double, holding it 2 yarns double, and I'm doing it on size 8 needles, I want to say. So I'm getting about 4.5 stitches per inch, which is perfect because I want to be able to fly through this sweater. I want it to be big and loose because it's going to be really warm because of the wool content. So my swatches turn out pretty nicely. I'm going to Frankenstein the sweater and probably make the smallest size. This way it has tons of positive ease, and then I'll just custom fit the shoulders because that should be fairly easy. Wish me luck. So that's what I'm crafting. Next I talk about what I'm stashing. So yay, I haven't purchased new stash in a very, 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 very long time. I'm really happy about that. This weekend was supposed to be my weekend of just kind of like taking the weekend off for the first time in several weeks because of all the traveling that I had to do. And I ended up just kind of like, I'll tell you later, but I ended up kind of just organizing my life. I organized my underwear drawer, my sock drawer, my nightgown drawer, like my pants and my t-shirt drawer. So I was thinking that that would be one of my days, is just organizing, and that the other day would be all crafting. We ended up taking the dog for a walk and cleaning up the alley behind our house because it was a hot mess. So I didn't get to the crafting yet. But the thing that I wanted to craft, I will show you because that's kind of the stash from the past, I guess. It's not new stash, it's stuff that I already own. I was thinking about making a quilt. These colors are so awesome, and they're showing up really, really blown out because I'm shooting in natural light because we have such great light in our living room. But this is fabric from Robert Kaufman. I think the colorway is called, or the line is called, Sound of the Woods. It's really nice, like creams and navy blues and sky blues, and the patterns are all a wintry walk in the woods. So I'll see if I can find some images on the internet to kind of show you, just because this is so blown out you won't be able to really see the detail here. Yeah, it's just really nice fabric. And I have, so in order, I have, I don't quilt anymore, so I forget what these terms are. I think this is a layer cake when it's a the 10-inch blocks, right, is a layer cake. I've got some fat quarters. I've got a jelly roll, which is like 40 strips that are 2.5 inches wide. And I have charm squares. So I've got lots of fabric. Like I pretty much have an entire quilt. And in terms of the backing fabric, I have, this is not from the same line, but it's, let me see if I can see what it is. It's a batik. Sorry, it's still in the plastic, but you can kind of see it's the same kind of slate light blue. And I also have this dark blue fabric from Moda for the backing. So I'm pretty much set up to make an entire quilt, and I'm really excited about that. I haven't quilted in years. I like pre-cuts because I hate cutting. I like piecing, I don't mind it. I don't like the actual quilting. So piecing is when you take all of the strips and pieces together and you sew them together. And I don't mind quilting, which is when you actually have put the quilt sandwiches together, the layers of the quilt sandwich together, so the top, the the batting and the backing, and you quilt them together in a sandwich. I don't mind that part. It's just the cutting out of things that drives me nuts. So having all of these pre-cut pieces is going to be awesome. I'm pretty much just going to spend a day sketching out, do I want to do like a linear thing or grids or just big blocks? I'm not really sure yet. Suffice it to say, it's all gonna match because I've got a big kit of it, which is really, really nice. So I will be quilting that pretty soon, but for now it counts as stash. So, okay, so next up, what we talk about. I feel like I'm a little bit rushing. I'm podcasting in the living room, which I never get to do because my generous husband is in the bedroom listening to a podcast. And letting me hang out with the dog over here and the cat over there, so that I can take advantage of the natural light in the living room. Thanks, Greg, you're the awesomest. So I'm rushing a little bit because of that. But I guess next up is media mix. I keep wanting to call it media maven. I really suck at remembering what my own segments are called. So media mix, I talk about books, movies, music, memes, whatever kind of has tickled my interest lately. And I've got two things. The first thing I alluded to, ooh, this is really bright, guys, I'm sorry. The first thing I alluded to is I'm finally reading that Marie Kondo book that everyone read a couple of years ago, The Life-Changing Art of Tidying Up. And the cool thing is that Greg and I are doing it as a family book club because it's the kind of thing where you can't declutter and organize your life if the other person that you're living with is just like, meh. So I'm really glad he actually is the one who bought the book ages ago when we first moved to Denver, so that's automatic buy-in. So first, this book, A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. It's been on my queue for a very long time. Really fun, really enjoyable book. It was on my Goodreads for a really long time, and I kind of was at a point where I wanted to read a little bit more and figured that I would look at my Goodreads queue because that's what it's for. If you're not on Goodreads, really quick, it's basically a website that lets you catalog books that you have read, want to read, or thinking of reading. Gives you synopsis, background, lets you write and read reviews, and also you can connect with your friends and see what they're reading and reviewing. So it's really, really good if you don't use it already. Book nerds, you should totally know about this one already. But it's a really fun book. It's kind of like set in an alternate universe where England is called Skirland. And it's written in the perspective of a woman who is a naturalist for dragons, who kind of has a passion for them and is living at a time where, you know, it's not the proper thing for ladies to do to be dragonologist, but she manages to kind of lead a life where she can chase and photograph, chase and draw and dissect and understand and analyze dragons and write a book called A Natural History of Dragons. So it's really entertaining. It's not the kind of thing that you can kind of, for me at least, pour through and tear through. I mean, I love dragons, but it's kind of, you know, pick it up, read for 20 minutes, drop it whenever you feel like it. So it's kind of a nice book to just kind of hang out with and not feel obligated to read, but then also not feel just like, oh my gosh, I read it so quickly that I want more. Actually, I think there is another book in the series, so I could totally do that, but I'm not going to. The other book that I'm reading, like I said, was totally Greg's idea. It's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it's basically an organization book. But what's great about it is that it's been out long enough that everyone else has dissected it and read through it and kind of told you the juicy bits and kind of told you like the basic tenets. So Greg and I are going to do a book club for it. But I already kind of started using it on my closet this weekend. I organized all of the drawers where I keep clothing in. Mostly because her folding method is so freaking amazing that I folded all of my stuff and all of my stuff fits. The thing that I wanted to talk about in a crafting viewpoint is two things that I kind of tweaked for my hand knit socks. Basically, the tenet is for folding all of your clothing, and I cannot believe I'm talking about this on my podcast, but yo, my sock drawer is organized and my life feels amazing. So yeah, the basic tenet is that you're trying to get all of your clothing into rectangular or square shapes. So if you think about your hand knit socks, she shows folding socks. Let me see if I could just grab this one. She basically shows folding socks this way and then rolling them up into little balls, which is fine because then if you squeeze them together, they'll still stand up pretty nicely. But what I think I like about hand knit socks is that we know that they can also do this, open up kind of flat-wise. So what I did with all of my hand knit socks is that I would open them flat so that the heel points down, and then I would have the other sock with the heel flat and the heel pointed up. This way they're kind of more evenly balanced, and then I roll them into a ball. Same way. You just kind of imagine there's two of them. The other one's on the needle, so I can't show you. And then they're in this little packet. Because they're going to be on your feet anyway, just fold them inside out. And it does the same thing in terms of standing up. But I don't know, for my hand knit socks, this is the way that I wanted to go because it just folds them a little bit more neatly and they don't like roll around everywhere. So yay, I just gave you a tip, I think. Maybe not. Maybe you already fold your socks that way. And I'm just late to the party. Well, cheers to you. I just got here. So those are the two books that I'm reading. Really, really good. I think after that, maybe it's time for a little bit of Periphery. So for Periphery, yay, it's spring. Yay, I cut my hair. I don't know if you noticed last week, my last podcast, my hair was crazy short and I've since cut it yet again. Not for nothing, in times of high activity and stress, I'd like to do different things with my hair. I like to do different things with my hair regularly, but like in times of high stress, I tend to cut my hair. So it was time for a change, and I cut it all off, and I'm already thinking about what to do with it next. But I'm really excited for the short hair. I don't know why I was telling you that. Yes, okay, so last week I went to Rhode Island to visit a friend. Hey Erica, how's it going? And also to go to the Lady Project Summit. If you follow me on Instagram or know me on Facebook, you know that I'm involved with this awesome organization called the Lady Project. I went to their summit maybe 3 years ago and was introduced to them via my friend Erica, and love the organization so much that yay for being back in the saddle. The thing about not podcasting every week is that you forget to do basic shit like erase old files on your camera, and then your camera tells you, oh, you're at the end of your capacity. So anyway, I'm back, and I was talking to you about Lady Project. I love the Lady Project so much that from that first summit, that when they were opening up a New York City chapter, I was like, I want to be involved, and I kind of helped with the launch for the New York City chapter, and then I moved to Colorado, so I kind of abandoned those ladies, unfortunately, but very soon after moving to Colorado, I was introduced to another woman who wanted to open a chapter here in Colorado, and so I was a city manager for the Lady Project in Boulder for a very long time, which is all of 6 months. So it was nice to go back to the summit in the capacity of someone who's kind of like an organizer. And if you're not familiar with it because you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I talk about it all the time there. Basically, the point of the Lady Project is to get women together, people who identify as female together, to help showcase their talents, connect them with each other, and really inspire them to do greater things together. And it translates to a lot of social activities where we have fun, whether we're reading books, whether we're going on hikes, whether we're learning about, female artists at local museum exhibits, or having fundraisers or workshops. This past Wednesday, I organized what we were calling a Smarter Small Business Workshop for women-owned businesses in Boulder and Denver area of Colorado, and it was really good because our events are usually pretty small. We get between like 15 and 30 people together every time, and it's really nice because everyone can talk to each other, and it feels much more, I hate the word organic, I hate the word authentic in this context, but like it just feels much more genuine when you're talking to these women in small groups, and it's not about competition, it's really about connecting with each other, finding out what's different and new in the world, and really just sharing information, and just also being like having fun, which is really awesome. So that was what I did last weekend or 2 weekends ago when I went to Rhode Island. I was part of that summit, and I'm excited for our next set of events. The thing that I would say is look up ladyproject.org or find them on Facebook. If you're in a major city, we probably have a chapter in your major city, and the really cool thing is that like we talk to each other across chapters, so as people are either taking vacations or moving from one city to another, you kind of are connected to an instant network of potential friends, potential business partners, potential collaborators, or just other ladies to hang out with. And they're all ages, all demographics, all industries. It's really, really fun. So I would highly recommend you look up Lady Project and check us out. I think that's all for today. The light is waning, and I'm really glad that I was able to record in natural light in my living room with the sleepy dog and the sleepy cat. But yes, I will see you around the interwebs. I'm on Instagram most of the time as Crayoly. I also just joined Snapchat thanks to my lady project friends who were convincing me that it was the thing to do, also as Crayoly, so I'll see you there. In the meantime, if you can't craft it, go outside, get some natural light, and stash it. Cheers.